Okay, so what we're doing today is nth roots. Nth roots means any root. It could be you have a third root. It could be you have a square root. It could be a fourth root. So for instance, if x times 4 is 625, if 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 is 625, then the fourth root of 625 is 5, because 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 is 625. That's how roots work. Okay, also down here, we've already learned that if you have a square root and you have a negative underneath the square root, it comes out as an I, and that's any even root, like a 2 and a 4. If you have a negative, it comes out as an I. If you have an odd root, like you're looking for the cube root or the fifth root, then that negative comes out as a -1. Okay? So that's just a little bit of information. I'm recording. Yeah, it's okay. Okay, do you need anything? Okay. Okay. Okay, so here we're going to try to find, there's not a root sign here, so we're going to try to find square root. So what you do is give everybody their own radical sign. And so you know when it's square root, it's going to come out, the negative is going to come out as an I. You probably don't really have to write this step every time because we didn't in the past. But we know the square root of 36 is 6. Now, what we're going to do every single time is we're going to stretch it out. That's x to the 6th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I missed 1. There's 6. Now, this tells me how many to circle at a time. I'm going to circle 2 at a time. One rep comes out, one representative comes out from underneath that square root sign for each circle that you've circled. So you have I and 6 and x to the 3rd. And I'm going to write it in a little bit better order, like that. Okay, so let's do another one. If you'll notice, this is square root. Let's give everybody their own radical sign. We've just got to make sure we keep the 2 going with us. Okay, for square root, we've kind of learned which ones to use. And 16 and 3 works best for a 48 because the square root of 16 is 4. And then, how many do we circle here at a time? Well, we're doing the square root. So we put 2 in each circle. An x comes out and an x comes out. So we basically have this information right here. And let's clean it up a little bit. So we have 8. The x and the x got to come out from underneath the square root sign, but square root of 3 did not. Moving along. Now this negative is not underneath the square root sign, so we don't really, or the cube root sign, excuse me. So we don't really have to worry about it a whole lot. So let's stretch these guys out. How many do we circle at a time? We're going to circle 3 at a time because that's what cube root is. It's 3. One representative comes out. That negative just follows along. And 2 of these, both of these have to stay underneath the cube root sign. So that's our final answer there. Try to remember the best you can to write your cube, whatever your root is. In that case, it's a cube root. Now this time we have a negative. It's underneath a cube sign. So when it's underneath a cube sign, it doesn't come out as an I, like on the first page of the notes at the bottom that I was showing you. It comes out as a negative. Then we have 24, and then we have x to the 9th, and this is the cube root. So you got to think a minute. What would 24 divide by that's a perfect cube? Well, your perfect cubes are 8, 4 times 4 times 4, 64. 5 times 5 times 5 is 125. Well, 24 will divide by 8. So let's use 8 times 3 is 24. Over here, let's see if we can fit in 9 of these guys. Now I'm going to double check my x's. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, the cube root of 8 is 2, a plain 2. There aren't any other 3's to circle, so nobody else can come out with those 3's. I'm going to circle by 3's. And I have a rep come out, a rep come out, and a rep come out. So I have negative 2. These are x cubed. And then a 3 to the, or a cube root of 3. So the way I would read that would be negative 2 x to the third times the cube root of 3. That's how you would read that. So you're stretching everything out when you can and circling. Okay, we got to wait for it to decide it's going to change. Okay, so now a cube root again. So 64 gets its own radical sign. I'm going to go ahead and write 6 of these a's. Okay, what is the cube root of 64? Oh, I think I forgot that on that other list over there. So we have 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. 4 times 4 times 4, I think that's what I forgot, is 64. And 5 times 5 times 5 is 125. The cube root of 64 is plain old 4. I'm going to circle in groups of 3. That's what that number means right there. I have an A come out and an A comes out. So we have 4A squared. And then example 6. This 2 is just going to follow along with us the whole time. I have an 81 and I have an x to the 8th power. 7, 8. I counted again to see if I had 8, just to double check. Now, 81. Think of some things that 81 will divide by. Okay, 9. Think of some more things. How does 9 split up? It splits up into 3 and 3. Okay, so I get, I'm going to circle in groups of 4. That 3 is going to come out and become plain. I'm going to circle in groups of 4. That x comes out, that x comes out, and so everybody in this particular problem gets to come out from underneath the square root sign, and you have a plain old 6x. So the key to all of this is stretching it all out and circling in how many groups that you have. Okay, so question 7 says take an 80, take an 80 here, the 4th root of 80, and the 4th root of a to the 7th. So I'm going to count my a to the 7th, 7, okay? So now I have, you can use anything you want to. There's lots of things that multiply to make an 80. There's 2 times 40, there's 4 times 20, there's a 16 times 5. It doesn't matter what you start with, you're going to get all the same prime numbers down here when you are finished. 8 breaks down into 4 times 2. Factors of 10 are 5 times 2. I get to break this 4 down a little bit more. And you know what? I'm going to reverse these so all my 2's will be together. Okay? Now it says to circle in groups of 4. So this 2 comes out, but this 5 doesn't have enough friends to circle to come out. So he has to stay. And then up here with my A's, I'm going to circle 4. So he gets to come out from underneath the radical sign. And a to the 3rd doesn't get to come out. So he has to stay because there's not 4 of them to come out. Now I'm just going to kind of clean this up. I'm going to put these guys together, 2a, and 5 times, or 5a to the third, and don't forget your little root sign. Okay? Okay. And I think that's it.